Chris Christie announced he's running for president today, and he's the 14th candidate to declare so far on the Republican side. Hard to grab those headlines when Donald Trump is in the race. He just keeps grabbing them every day. But John Hawkins of rightwingnews.com is here to give us the view from the right on the latest in the presidential race. John, welcome. Good to have you back.
Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Now, John, how excited are you about Chris Christie being in the race?
I'm thrilled. I think he'll peel votes off of Jeb.
Well, you know, you do make a good point. Some people have suggested that maybe he's in the race, honestly, to sort of make Jeb look better. Do you see that happening?
I can't imagine him getting in the race to try to make Jeb look better. That's just not something that's going to happen. I think he'd like to win. I think that's why he's getting in. I think he's going to undercut Jeb because they're taken out of the same pool of people. They're taking people out of the same moderate groups. I don't want Chris Christie as president. I love him great in New Jersey. I think he's perfect for that state. I think he'd be ill-suited to be the conservative nominee, the Republican, for the Republican Party.
All right, well, Americans seem to love straight-talking candidates like Christie and Trump. Do you think he could move up in the poll with some of his trademark tough talk?
I think it would help him. I think Republicans are dying to see anyone he'll fight because this is a party full of wimps who roll over like little poodles the first time Obama says anything. I mean, that's what John Boehner and Mitch McConnell do. So I think they would love to see Christie go out and tear the hide off of somebody. I think that would help him. I think that's part of the reason you've seen Donald Trump's numbers go up, because he is going after some people. This is not a guy who backs down.
But it seemed today in his announcement and in his little first campaign commercial that we've all been seeing on the internet, it seemed like he's going for like a softer, gentler version. Do you think that is Chris Christie wishing to redefine himself? Do you think that is the voters speaking and he's just responding? Or do you think it's handlers? Do you think it's consultants of some sort telling him, hey, better back off that tough talk? They already know that about you. Let him see your soft, fluffy side. What do you think?
I think that last one is exactly it. People already know Chris Christie's a tough-talking guy. He doesn't have to show it. That's the mistake, for example, Michelle Bachmann made in the last time. When she was good and had great numbers, she was on top for a while. But she kept pouring it on and pouring it on. Well, it's like, listen, people already know you're a tough-talking Tea Partier who's willing to go out there. You don't need to pull back and try. You don't need to show that anymore. Show people you can be soft. Show people you can show the opposite side of your personality. So I think that's a good thing for Christie to do at this point, because let me tell you, he will tear the hide off of somebody at some point.
All right. Speaking of Donald Trump, Donald is suing Univision for $500 million. It's tough for other candidates. John, you almost feel sorry for him because no one can get press. It's like Donald has the golden touch for getting the press, whether it's good or whether it's bad. It's always there. What is your take on his lawsuits and his going back and forth with some of these companies? Do you think this is behooving his presidential race?
It's so Donald Trump. Does it matter? I mean, it's the whole thing is just, it's the Donald Trumpiest Trump move ever, right? He's going after, Univision's going to take it to him. He's going to take it right back to him. He's going to get more attention in the process. He's not being hurt by all this. This is Donald Trump doing what Donald Trump wants to do. Now, is he going to be the next president of the United States? I don't know, but I think he's going to shake everything up in the process, which is exactly what he's trying to do. And I expect him to keep ripping into Jeb Bush, which is exactly what I want him there for.
All right, now the hashtag #AskBobby was trending today, but Twitter can be a rough place sometimes, John, and it didn't turn out that well for old Bobby Jindal today, did it?
It did not, and I think they made two mistakes. First, Twitter is a sewer full of morons.
Yes, it is.
That's the first thing to remember. Not that there aren't smart people on there, but most people are stupid, number one. Number two, everybody wants to show how smart and sarcastic they are. Nobody wants to actually have an informative discussions about anything, so it's not a good place for something like Ask Bobby. Two, the other thing to keep in mind is that liberals think they own minorities like slaves. And by that, I mean they're not allowed to have contrary opinions. You are not allowed to be a black man or an Indian man or an Asian man who votes Republican, because that means you're not allowed to do that. So they made all kinds of racist comments, and they were, let's call them what they are. They're racist. They're just very nasty comments that tell you a lot about the way liberals think. So there's a lot of that in there, too.
While they're screaming racism about everything else and banning Confederate flags, they're calling Jindal racist names. And no one seems to pick up on the disconnect there. Another trending political story today, John, is that the Oklahoma Supreme Court ruled that the State House must take down its 10 Commandments statue. Do the courts have anything better to do, John, than worry about religious monuments these days? Because it seems like they're not at all concerned about ISIS.
Well, it's an interesting question because I think in that case they ruled that it did not violate the United States Constitution, or at least they didn't rule on that. They ruled that it voted the state of Oklahoma's Constitution, which I really can't speak to. I don't have the expertise. I will tell you that constitutionally, there's absolutely nothing from the Founding Fathers put in there that intended to stop us from having, Ten Commandment monuments. Reading the Bible in school, the Founding Fathers had no objections to it. It was going on while they were there. So, as to that ruling, it's hard to say. It's more of a state issue. I disagree with it. I think you should be able to have the 10 Commandments up because of the First Amendment. It allows for that, and that's something the Founding Fathers would have agreed with.
I read today, John, and we just have a couple seconds yet left, but I can't let you go without having you comment. I read something today that Facebook is banning the Confederate flag, and if you post it at all, you'll be in trouble on Facebook. Just your take, I guess. I'm so awed, I don't even know what to say, but I just want to see what you have to say.
Wow, I haven't heard that. I've seen a lot of people flying different Confederate flags, so I'd be surprised if that's true. Facebook usually tries to take a fairly lenient hand with that kind of thing, although they will go to the other side. They have rainbow flags up everywhere. We put up on Right Wing News, if you go to rightwingnews/test, you can American flag your profile if you don't want to fly a rainbow flag.
Do you like mine, John?
I thought it looked spectacular.
John Hawkins, as always, thank you for being with us today. Don't forget, go find his amazing work at rightwingnews.com.